Good morning to all our viewers, our Guru Bhais who are tuning online with us for this wonderful morning with a topic which was being inspired through our brother Mitesh. And we all will feel that that's the need for the hour right now to understand how we can transcend the negative emotion. So, the topic today is transcending negative emotions, and we will start our Sunday satsang with a prayer, with chanting, with affirmation, and meditating. After which, we'll have a reading from the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And then we'll see what all inspirations are coming to all of us today from Masters and Swamiji. So I would like to request our brother Mitesh to take us and start this satsang.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, Beloved God,
Friend, Beloved God,
Great Masters of Kriya Yoga,
Great Masters of Kriya Yoga,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashay,
Lahiri Mahashai,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
our beloved Guru,
our beloved Guru,
Paramhansa Yogananda,
Paramhansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
humbly we bow at thy feet.
humbly we bow at thy feet.
O beloved Guru,
O beloved Guru,
come to us in this satsang today.
come to us in this satsang today.
Help us to draw apart
Help us to draw apart
the curtains of our ignorance,
the curtains of our ignorance,
so that we are able to behold
so that we are able to behold
thy eternal light
thy eternal light
behind all our anxieties and worries.
behind all our anxieties and worries.
May we cast away all our mental burdens
May we cast away all our mental burdens
and follow thy footsteps
and follow thy footsteps
in the safe haven
in the safe heaven
of our soul consciousness.
of our soul consciousness.
Om
Om.
Shanti. Please join me in this chant. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is stuck and my stars are gone, though my sea is stuck and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sister, the harmonium has come off. Let's see.
So much of Divine Mother's light and energy.
I'm sure we'll be able to put it back together
Yes.
and start all the way from the beginning. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is stuck and my stars are gone, though my sea is stuck and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Let's meditate now for a few minutes with our attention deeply focused at the pole star which represents our Guru at the point between the eyebrows. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
We'll now enter into the affirmation on courage from the book Affirmations for Self-Reading, Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. Swamiji says, there are three kinds of human courage: blind, passive, and dynamic. Blind courage doesn't count the cost until it finds itself faced, horror stricken with the bill. Passive courage is the strength of will to adjust to reality, whatever it may be. And the dynamic courage is the strength of will not only to accept reality, but to confront it with another reality of one's own making. There's a fourth kind of courage, not human, but divine. Divine courage comes from living in the awareness of God's presence within and in the realization that He is the sole reality. Live more in Him, for nothing and no one can touch what you really are. Let's affirm together loudly first. I lived protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
nothing and no one can harm me.
nothing and no one can harm me.
In a regular voice, let's close our eyes, uplift our gaze at our spiritual eye, the point between the eyebrows. I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
nothing and no one can harm me.
nothing and no one can harm me.
In a softer voice now, I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
nothing and no one can harm me.
nothing and no one can harm me.
In a whisper now, I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected in God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
So long as I remain in the heart of it,
nothing and no one can harm me.
nothing and no one can harm me.
At the point between the eyebrows, at our spiritual eye, we'll mentally affirm, feeling the vibration of every word. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Let's also mentally pray. I look to Thee for my strength, Lord. Hold me closely in Thy arms of love. Then whatever happens in my life, I shall accept with joy. Om. I would like to call Sister Astrid and help us into the reading now.
Morning, everyone. Good morning. So today we'll have a reading from the essence of Bhagavad Gita, explained by Paramhansa Yogananda and as remembered by Swamiji. So it says, it's chapter 8, the scripture begins. So Swamiji says, the Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra, the blind king, Duryodhana's father, wanting to know how the battle has been faring at the Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra, as we saw earlier, is blind. His blindness represents that aspect of mind which can perceive reality only through the senses. The war of Kurukshetra is not fought literally on the earthly battlefield, but it takes place within every individual. Dhritarashtra consults Sanjaya, who represents introspection. Introspection alone can tell the blind mind which side is winning. Sanjaya has the spiritual power to see things at a distance. Thus, through the Dhritarashtra, who naturally wants to know what is happening on the battlefield, even while it happens, poses his question. He does so, however, in a most interesting manner. He doesn't ask, as one would expect him to do, which side is winning. Rather, he asks which side has won, past tense. Paramahansa Yogananda pointed out that this question, asking for introspection on something already past, gives a clear hint that the entire Bhagavad Gita is focused on the field of consciousness, not the martial battle. On the earthly battle, once more, on the earthly battlefield, it is natural to ask which side is winning. One expects immediately news as to which way the tide of battle is flowing, which ranks are standing firm, which are yielding to aggressive pressure, and which are making inroads into the enemy ranks. In a psychological battle, on the other hand, it is only after the struggle that the question arises which side was victorious. Stanza 1, chapter 1 of this great scripture states, Dhritarashtra posed this question to Sanjaya. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where my sons and those of Pandu were ranged against one another, eager for battle, what was the outcome?
Thank you, Astrid. Good morning, everyone, once again.
Good morning.
So, usually, whenever there is a satsang topic and we go through the flow of the prayer, the affirmation, and the reading, I always think what is really left to be said anymore. Because if you tune into the affirmation which we just did, Swamiji spoke about how when you realize the presence of God within, that's a different sort of a courage altogether, and nothing and no one can really harm us if we can tune into that, whether it's a negative emotions or anything else. And through the reading that Astrid did, it clearly means that anything that we are feeling outwardly is a result of the battle that's really going on, that battle of Kurukshetra, which is really going on inside of us. Um, Thinking about this topic of transcending negative emotions, I normally feel that before any one of us come to share our thoughts here, it's very important that we go through a similar experience and are able to come out of it. So today, as I'm speaking about this topic, unfortunately, I did go through a series of negative emotions over the last few weeks. And thanks to our guru, and following some of the tools that he shared with us, I was able to come out of it like a snap when it seemed nearly impossible. And that was also one of the reasons or the inspiration behind this topic, because I felt very inspired to share whatever it is that I learned through the process. Now, what happened over the last few weeks is several, weeks of outward intensive activity combined with a lot of negative emotions, especially with people at work. And I'll talk about a bit more as to what we did to come out of it. But whenever we find ourselves in such situations, the image that comes to my mind is like we are like a boat which are being tossed about in this stormy ocean, and the winds are really howling, and we are swung from negative emotions like anxiety on one side, and then we are flung to the other side where we are undergoing fear or tensions or stress of different kinds. And that feeling is very overwhelming, and we find ourselves completely helpless. And I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but the one thing that we let go of when we find ourselves in this kind of situation is our sadhana, is our meditation or the energization exercises. And somehow the ego justifies the fact that no worries, Mitesh, you're going through all of this, you are anyways going through so much of pain. It's okay. I mean, you have to deal with all of these outward things first. And through that, you have to find your point of center. And then, when you get the time, when you're already calm, maybe when you have conquered the outward battle, that would again be a good time to come back to your routine of sadhana. So I often find myself in that kind of a situation. I mean, it's not like I left my sadhana completely, but I did not meditate as much as I should have during this intense period. But coming back to that image which I spoke about, our we can always see the shore somewhere in the distance. Like it's a safe haven or the consciousness beyond all of these emotional turmoil, and that really represents that eternal consciousness or God that we need to go to. And God has held out a rope for each one of us in the ocean. There is a rope which is tied to the boat, and somehow the connection has been severed. And the only thing that we really need to desperately hold on to is that rope, and that rope represents the Guru. Guru is tying us back to God, and no matter how much we get swayed from one emotion to another in the storm, we cannot wait for the storm to really recede. It's going to take a very long time before the outward situation can typically change. But how difficult is it really for each one of us to continue to hold on to that rope no matter what? Now, it doesn't mean that when we are holding on to the rope that we'll not be tossed around. The waves will still be coming and hitting us, and we will still think that we are going to drown one day. But some part of our awareness needs to hold on to that guru more often than when we would normally do. Um, and this reminds me of a beautiful story that I came across in the New Path. And this, I came across the story also after the satsang topic was decided. So it really came like a gift. So in this story, in chapter 9, Swamiji speaks about getting a dream where Swamiji and a group of people, they live in a torture cell, and they know of no other reality except to get up every morning and be tortured by the tormentors. And then he says, of course, there are some good days where the torture is less, and then there are some bad days when the torture is even more. But it is absolutely inconceivable for them to think of any alternate reality because they have not seen anything else. The only respite that they get is when they go to sleep at night, and then the whole routine starts all over again. And then they have the company of each other to talk about the suffering that they're going through. But he also says that they don't think of themselves as a lot which is going through a pain or suffering, because, like I said, they know of no other reality. One fine day, a group of people think about, what if something else is possible? What if an alternate reality is possible? Shall we not think about it? And then eventually, when the guards were not there, they came up with a plan, and they were able to slew the tormentors, and they were able to run away from that torture cell. And while they were coming down the flight of steps, they were obviously expecting a lot of other tormentors to come and block them from becoming free. But to their surprise, After killing the torturers on the top cell of the building, when they were going down, there was absolutely nobody else to stop them. There were no other torturers, there were no other tormentors. They could not believe what was happening. They came all the way down and then they faced this vast open meadows and field. And then they run towards that. And then they finally breathe in the fresh air and they look at each other and they say, freedom. This is what freedom feels like. And then he goes on to say that they look behind the building and they see that in the top floor of the building, the tormentors are still there and they're going about doing their job as if nothing has happened, and rest of the building is completely empty. But the group of people, including Swamiji, are now free, while the tormentors are still up there on the top floor of the building. Of course, there is very deep inspiration behind this, and Swamiji shares. I don't know how many of you can already feel what the inspiration is behind the story, but he goes on to say the torture chamber, located as it was on the top floor of the building, symbolized the human mind. The torturers represented our mental shortcomings. The emptiness of the rest of the building meant that once one has overcome his mental torturers, there are no more enemies left to conquer. All human suffering, in other words, originates in the mind. The battle of Kurukshetra, which Astrid just spoke about. We cannot slay universal delusion. All we can do is slay our own mental torturers. They, meaning universal delusion, will always remain on the scene, inflicting on others their painful lessons. Which means that this world, this Maya, the suffering will always be there. Our responsibility is only to make sure that we become free. They will continue. And what Swamiji saw in the building after they all became free is that the world continues to torture other people. And really, it's up to each one of us or those people to now become mentally free. But the torturers will never go. You can't slay them or you can't kill them expecting that they will never come back, because they will always remain there. Now, now, thinking of it practically in our own life, how can we slay our mental torturers? And really, to understand this, we need to go a bit deeper about trying to first understand what is causing negative emotions or who is suffering in the first place. And invariably, you will notice that it is our ego which is a root cause of all suffering. Because if you are acting from a soul consciousness, soul is already free, it is joyful, it is full of bliss, and it is full of love. So there is no separation between joy and soul. It is only when we act from ego consciousness that we become separate from that state of joy, and then there is this perceived need, this desperate, urgent need to protect something. That fear that something within us is going to get inflicted with pain, something within us is about to get destroyed, and we're trying very hard to protect that. And usually, when we operate like that, and this normally happens when somebody speaks to us disrespectfully or somebody's come and said something which doesn't meet our expectation, all of that, and there is always this dire need to protect ourselves from preserving that self identity, which is always a matter of ego. And as we all know, Master said, circumstances are always neutral. It is how we respond or react to it that determines whether we will be happy or sad. And talking about this response or reaction, I always get reminded of what we teach in level 1 class. We always talk about the connection between meditation and the brain. And we talk about whenever we find ourselves in a flight or a fight situation, when it's about survival mode, we typically act on the posterior part of the brain called the amygdala. It's called the limbic system, but then there is one part of the brain called the amygdala. And when we face ourselves with this kind of tirade of negative emotions, anxiety, stress, suddenly this antenna or the amygdala wakes up and we are completely hijacked by it, and we are forced to respond from that point of the brain, which means that we end up responding or reacting from a state of anger, resistance, restlessness, or aggression. But meditation is about switching that reaction from the amygdala, which again, I've not read the science of it deeply, but I'm guessing that the amygdala definitely resides somewhere around the medulla oblongata, because that is also the seat of the ego. And meditation really is about that simple journey in that moment from the medulla to the point between the eyebrows. So, how can we make the switch from our ego consciousness to responding from the soul consciousness? And really, it can actually be that very simple. Uh, just when we find ourselves in that situation, just take the journey from the medulla to the point between the eyebrows. That short journey. I remember when Jyotishji had come to Mumbai, he mentioned about, I don't know whether him or somebody else, but when they were asked a question, how long is the spiritual journey? They responded by saying it's only about half a foot from the base of the spine till the point between the eyebrows. That's the only journey that we really need to take. And it can be very, very simple. And I know many of us are smiling right now because it sounds simple, but how often have we tried that? And, how can I come out of it? You have no idea what I am going through in my life, and my situations and my challenges are completely different. And that's true. Everybody's situations are unique, but we also tend to get too caught up with all of that, and we do tend to make things very complex. And the journey can indeed be very simple if we choose to act with the presence of a guru in that situation. Now, coming back to that moment I was facing a few days ago, Wednesday night, Mirabai messaged me saying, "Brother, what should we do for satsang this Sunday?" And I was like, "Hang on, I don't think I'm in no state to do this satsang, because again my ego started justifying that there is so much you need to take care of right now, both on the personal front as well as on the career front. Let me say no, and of course Mirabai will understand, and I know she would understand." Now, the good part about WhatsApp is you don't end up reacting immediately, right? It just gives you that little moment of pause. And I said, okay, before I say no, let me think about it. Let's see what I can do about it. Let me sleep over it. And then I just reminded myself, based on my past experience, that I find myself being drawn away from master over the last few weeks. And maybe if I can say yes to this, I don't know how the satsang is going to be, but maybe this will just give me an opportunity once again for the guru to flow through me. And that's all that I really need in this moment. So I slept over it. And then the next morning, the first thing which I did was I was lucky enough to find this video, Ananda Yoga, on dealing with anxiety and stress. And I went through the whole routine of 50 minutes, Gyandev's video. And anyone here, and I know many of you have tried Ananda Yoga, but after you do Ananda Yoga and you sit down for meditation, that whole effort is absolutely easy. You are very naturally able to transition from yoga into meditation without really being able to having to make an effort. And when I sat down there, I can tell you I was instantly relieved of all of these negative states which I was going through. Because Ananda Yoga has that power. It's not just about the postures. You know that in Ananda Yoga, we work through energy patterns. We are able to combine stillness with affirmations. And that's clearly a way in that difficult situation to calm your nerves and to really cool your brain down. And once you're in that position, sitting for meditation, you are already free of all the vrittis that you can possibly think of. So, and I know that we don't perhaps emphasize on this often enough, but please, if you can, always try to take out some time for Ananda Yoga before you do your meditation and after your energization exercises. If not 5 days a week, at least 3 days a week or twice a week for the next 2 months, and you will definitely see a difference. The second thing which I think made a difference for me is just in that moment to then, and I think it was after that I went back to my WhatsApp and I told Mirabai, not only should we do the satsang, but the topic for the satsang also came to me very naturally in that meditation. And I said, why don't we do this? And The difference here is, again, when you find yourself, in that negative emotional turmoil, find a way to just serve other people. And it doesn't have to be something grand. If you're having lunch with someone, maybe try to figure out what is it that the person wants to eat. Maybe get up, go to the kitchen, serve that person, maybe help somebody to cross the road, whatever it might be. But the whole purpose of seva, I mean, we think about this grand idea of that, we are giving back to the world and we are trying to serve a guru. And all of that is true. But the one main thing that happens when you're serving others is that you are able to completely forget your little foolish self when you're doing that. And you keep doing that for, let's say, 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, and 2 hour. And suddenly you'll realize, whether you like it or not, but that spiral, that negative spiral that you were going through is completely disappeared. Now, it could take sometimes only a few hours, sometimes it could take a week, sometimes it could take a bit longer. But just like how you would hang on to that rope, you should always try and find a way to come out of your little ego by finding ways to serve other people. The third thing is obviously Kriya Yoga. Now, I know that's also the hardest thing to do when we find ourselves in such situation, but I can tell you, if you are able to see that vritti about to begin, and if you can arrest that vritti in that very moment by doing even 12 or 24 rounds of Kriya Yoga, I can tell you the benefits that you will see from that one Kriya session of 10 minutes can be far greater than those moments when we are normally very calm and stable and we do 108 Kriyas. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do our regular Kriyas and our deeper, longer Kriya meditations, but please try and do this when you are finding yourself in that situation, because 24 Kriyas, it has the power to instantly dissolve all your vrittis. And that is exactly the reason why Lahiri Maharshi said, whenever anyone came to him with a problem, rather than trying to spend too much time in giving him all of those theoretical answers and concepts which will not help us. I mean, how often have we seen that we try with our infected mind already to tell ourselves, oh, I should be practicing non attachment in this moment. Let me accept everything that the Guru is sending to me with an open heart, which is good to practice, but it's very hard for the vrittis to dissolve simply by intellectualizing the whole thing or trying to understand with your mind, because the mind, as we know, is already infected. So what we really need to do is to shift the energy, and Kriya Yoga is obviously by far the best tool that can help you to instantly navigate that crisis in that moment. Um, another thing which I have personally found to be very helpful is just to be able to create that separation, because like I mentioned earlier, it is the ego which is suffering and not the soul. And Master has often spoken about how you should put on the consciousness of an observer. And if in that moment we can try and create a space, and we really try to think who is the one which is suffering, and just carefully observe all our heart's desires, stress, or even the negative emotions. Just observe, don't analyze, don't judge, accept whatever suffering that part of your being is going through. Acknowledge the fact that it is going to be there. Don't think about the root cause of why it's happening and maybe somebody else should have done something else. No. Just by watching your consciousness of that part of your consciousness which is going through pain, you are able to create that separation. And when you start doing this often enough, this will just create that gap. And this is exactly why, and I've spoken about this before, that Swami Kriyananda said that he looked upon himself as an event that he was responsible for. So if each one of us think of ourselves as this event or the journey of our life that we are responsible for, which means that every time I see Mitesh Karya getting into that downward pulling cycle of energy, all that I need to do is I need to help Mitesh at this stage. Let me hear what Mitesh has to say. Let me acknowledge the feelings that he is going through. And after Mitesh has vented himself out completely, and I'm having this conversation with myself. After Mitesh has vented himself out completely, maybe he will find himself in a calmer state of mind when I can quietly and subtly try to remind him, hey, Master has given all of these tools. So if you cannot practice Kriya Yoga and if you find that very hard, why don't you try to do an affirmation? If affirmation is also very difficult for you, why don't you try to go and do some energization exercises? If that doesn't work for you and you still want to create a shift in an energy, why don't you pick up the harmonium and play a chant that you like? If you don't know how to play a chant, why don't you start listening to some of Swamiji's music? And these are so many different ways in which we can just come back to our soul consciousness. We can constantly move from the medulla to the soul or the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And I just want to conclude by saying that, look, we all know that these tools are available with us, but sometimes it's very important to have all of this mapped out in front of us. It could be in the form of a whiteboard, it could be in the form of a flow chart. And I know that Jyotish ji has left us this very important tool, and if possible, we can try to share this after the satsang. But it's like a triangle where we have mapped out all the tools which are available to us at the physical level, at the energy level, and at the level of the soul, right? So at the level of the soul is obviously the Kriya Yoga and the meditation. On the other extreme is the level of the physical, which is your energization exercises, or you could simply come to a satsang, or you can spend some company of Guru Bhais by going to a pilgrimage. These are all the things which are available at the physical level. The only limitation or drawback of working with tools which are available at the physical level is that it could take a bit more time for you to come out of the negative spiral, but it still helps a lot compared to if you're able to arrest your vrittis by doing kriyas immediately. And then in between, you have all the tools which are available at the energy level, which I alluded to, which is obviously, affirmations working with your energy. Ananda Yoga, again, you're working with your energy, right? So have this whole thing mapped out in front of you, and maybe it would be interesting to just stand there and say, let's see which one of this I am able to do right now. And if God forbid none of that still works for you, then I would go and do what Devarshiji has very often encouraged us to do. What he talks about often is just keep chanting Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru. When nothing else works, just keep chanting that. And that is going to be your boat or that rope that you'll hang on to. And that is always going to be your raft over the ocean of delusion. Thank you.
Wow. Feels like we should all get up now and do the arati and seek blessings from the altar. I think the tone of this satsang was set right from the reading from Essence of Bhagavad Gita, which happened through Astrid, and our brother sharing about how he went through these emotions throughout those 2 weeks and how we felt inspired to share it with all of us. I think he has spoken all of that that we all know about it, right? And these are the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, which has come to all of us through his direct disciple Swami Kriyananda. And when we are saying all of these things, there's a deep connect, no? A disciple, a direct disciple, Swami Kriyananda, who has implemented all of these teachings in his life. And he has become a good disciple. As an example, he's coming to all of us and encouraging us to be a good disciple and to be the yogi as what Paramhansa Yogananda and Swami Kriyananda are. Yeah. So let's see. We have exactly now perhaps 7 minutes. I'll do my best. And what I wanted to share today is when Mitesh was tuning into this topic, and we all felt that, yes, this is the need right now for all of us. And perhaps it's just not right now. It's every day we need this. Every day we are going through this particular, ego identity. And it will be even more wiser to say every minute we live from that ego identity. So it's required, it's a reinforcement again and again that we all are in need of this. So when we were tuning into this, when he said, okay, this is the topic, and many of you know Aditi, that is her seva to make the flyers for all the satsangs and others. So we both were discussing, hey, look, overcoming negative emotion, that was the title before. It's like overcoming looks very like a stressful pressure thing, overcoming something, And then we both thought that how about we tune into transcending the negative emotion? Now, see, here itself, the consciousness shifted, no? Overcoming to transcending. I mean, it is going to be there, as Mitesh explained or shared, that it is going to be there, it is always there. But we need to transcend that particular thing. And as what the reading mentioned about from the essence of Bhagavad Gita is the introspection of our consciousness. And then today, when we were preparing about this, I felt, wait, we cannot transcend if we don't overcome it at first place. You see? And that's how we are going to very quickly tune into one episode of Swami Kriyananda. And we are going to do a case study. Many of you are from marketing research. So this is like a jargon of marketing, case study, which is a divine case study of a good disciple. Yeah. I'm going to read this particular incident in his life. And of course, it's from the book New Path. So here we go. Remember, it's a case study, and we all are going to tune into this together, okay? So Swami Kriyananda writes and shares, I once had a very interesting conversation with my guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, which taught me an important lesson about negativity. After reading Autobiography of a Yogi, I went to Encinitas, California, expecting, mark the word with a highlighter, expecting to be greeted by Yogananda with open arms and accepted immediately. Instead, I was greeted by Sister Gyanamata, his most advanced woman disciple, who told me it would be probably be months before I was accepted. Highlight again. I became very resentful. My first thought was that she was just one of those little old ladies who tend to choke religious organizations. Oh, big inverted commas. Look, what is coming out now? Later that day, however, I recalled her eyes, which were very deep, and I prayed and asked her forgiveness for having misjudged her. Misjudged. When I told this story to Yogananda, including my initial negative view of Sister Gyanamata, he said, why did you say that? I replied, well, I later understood that she was a saintly person. In the beginning, I didn't understand that. He said, you shouldn't talk about such things. That's just being negative. In other words, Sister Gyanamata was a saint. Why mention anything else? Underline. She was a saint. Why mention anything but she's a saint, you see? He always wanted us to be positive and to focus on goodness. What a beautiful case study this is, isn't it? And then that just brought me to understand, okay, all these points, if we have to highlight, what did Swami Kriyananda go at that moment? No? And as what Mitesh said about the ego, I'll just little add to that. What did Paramhansa Yogananda said about ego, or let's say negative emotion? He said that it is ego's reaction to thwarted desires. Okay. And then Swami Kriyananda, of course, after this beautiful incident that he went through and the life as a good disciple he lived, following the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, he said that ego's reaction to the desire which was not fulfilled according to the expectation. You see, through his experience, he said that when anything is not going according to our expectation, we are thwarted. And all the emotions of anger, fear, jealousy, envy, and the list could continue. Okay? And where are these coming from? Mitesh already said that, but it is good to reinforce this point. Where are these coming from? Swami Kriyananda said, go at the root cause of that particular emotion. And it is coming from all the self identity that I have created for my own self. Swami Kriyananda expected, oh, I will be greeted with open arms. And Paramahansa Yogananda is going to hug me and say, come, come, I was waiting for you. It did not work like that. What happened? Immediately the energy dropped. Immediately the judgment started. I'm sure he must have thought, what kind of organization is this? What kind of guru is this, perhaps, All of that. Now, what happened? When the energy dropped, who got activated? Who got, okay, now I'm going to take Swami Kriyananda and work through him, which is ego, right? And ego from the subconscious mind started giving all these ideas to him, to the point that he judged Sister Gyana Mata. And beautiful way at the end of the day, when he was introspecting, right? Dhritarashtra, or rather Sanjaya, is introspection. What did he feel? Her deep eyes. And that changed the consciousness. That brought the energy back up. Right? Back up to the soul consciousness. And from there, it was very natural for him to kind of send a prayer and ask for the forgiveness. You see, when he went down, as Mitesh said, he was separated from his truth. And then he just got up and got that truth activated with the soul consciousness. So, how are we supposed to see our day to day or minute to minute when we go in such a thing? We are such an expert in judging people. As if God has given us the right, hey, you human beings, judge everybody left, right, and center. Why? No? Why? How much ever you control, but that subconscious is so very powerful that it keeps on coming, keeps on coming, keeps on coming. Right? So there are certain practical things now to tune into, apart from all the beautiful things and the tools that Mitesh shared and that we are doing, and we need to do more. But let's take this certain area of our practical day-to-day life. So first thing, what did Paramahansa Yogananda tell Swami Kriyananda? Why do you say so? Right? So now just think about it. Paramahansa Yogananda says that first thing first, you have to say, not me. So as when Mitesh is going as a third person and observing, oh, what is he going through, trying to understand his situation as a third person, what he did was, he did not identify himself with all those thoughts. So Paramahansa Yogananda said, first thing is not me. I am not that thought. I'm not that energy. As simple as that. And then Swami Kriyananda, through his experience, added, say yes to life. First, don't identify, then say yes to life. What does that mean? It's confusing. No and yes. No? Hello, what are you trying to tell us, masters? It's very simple. And believe me, it came today with a very deep understanding to me. What does it mean to say yes to life? It means that I take ownership, I take responsibility of whatever is happening into my life. I accept this particular situation, and I accept that it has come to me because I have to learn something out of it. It's a very deep feeling. Yes, this has come to me, and I'm awake and ready to learn why it has come to me, right? Then what do we do next? Once we are say, I'm not this identity, I am ready to face and learn what this has come to me. The third thing can be to not speak about negativity. Paramhansa Yogananda was very, very firm on this, as all his teachings, but he told to Swamiji and other disciples that the negativity can have the power if you start speaking also. Sometimes we just in speaking, we start gossiping about unknowingly. It comes out. What are we doing? We are affirming that negativity. So then we should not even speak about that negativity, right? The fourth step. It's a beautiful step. It's that God has given me this. And Swamiji talks about a beautiful story of Saint Francis of Assisi. He used to go house to house to have some food for himself. So in the starting, all the people were not very kind of kind enough and started giving whatever food to him. It went on. And he was just very smiling and very accepting, and just, God has given me this. Eat it, eat it, eat it. To the point one day, the people realized that this is not what we have to do. So, such was the power when he said, God has given me this, and I'm bringing God in this situation. He's also responsible for this, just not me. Right? And that gave him the power. Now, what he did then, and what we can do once we reach this state in our day to day case that we are going through, Swamiji says, then radiate. Now you are ready. Now everything you have done, now you're ready to radiate that love and harmony to yourself, to people in that situation, and to the situation itself. What do we mean by radiate love when this person or the situation has just taken my energy down? How am I supposed to bring my energy? Yes, meditation, energization, Kriya Yoga for the Kriya Yogis. But what am I supposed to do? What does it mean? How can I simplify? And there came a story of Saint Teresa of Avila. Swamiji says that she used to teach her nuns to see the positive quality of whoever they see or whoever they meet. Right? Why? What happened? When they started seeing the positive quality of people around, first of all, they forgot themselves at that moment. So self-forgetfulness happened for them. Now I have to tune into that person to know what is the positive quality of that person. That means I'm now tuning into that person's reality. And that's how the harmony and love is going to be. I'm tuning only into the goodness of everything, goodness of the situation, goodness of the person, goodness of even this self, our higher self, our soul consciousness, right? And when we will start doing all of these things, we have already qualified ourselves to overcome the negative emotions, you know. This is how every time we think that the ego is now getting activated, it's a wonderful visualization just to see yourself as a warrior, be awake and ready. And when the ego is going to strike you, and you are ready with this entire game plan, you know, I'm not going to let all of these negative emotions take away my energy. And on what is this built? This is built on the foundation of our meditation practice, because that is going to help our willpower to be awakened even more deeply. And if there is willpower, there is going to be energy. And if there is energy, we will be able to take that energy up at our Krishna Christ consciousness. You know? And then who cares? We are not going to judge anybody. We're just going to do our introspection. We're just going to see the positive quality of the situation, the goodness of the people all around us, and what we are going to receive as a grace of God by doing so. He shared that word. Swamiji and others in that dream felt freedom. No? And my dear friends, sisters, and brothers, when the freedom state is being experienced, that's the first step to transcend. That's a celebration step that we have now transcended that particular emotion. Simple? And I would like to just, yeah, that's a good smile. It is simple actually. Now that we look into a case study and, try to put ourselves into it, it's wonderful. After the satsang, we can just informally at the prasad, I would like to share one experience that I felt. And when I was tuning into Swamiji's experience, I felt, oh my God, this is so exactly same like what Swamiji went through. So we can do that after the satsang. And I'm going to end by this particular reading. Okay. The highlighters are ready. Are they here or are they here? They're here, right? Why saints aren't negative? You will transcend negativity when, like the saints, you have completely overcome the tendency to wish ill toward anyone or anything. And when you can accept this world as it is, without criticism or judgment. Saints are non judgmental, they are forgiving and accepting of all things. As Yogananda wrote of Master Mahasaya in Autobiography of a Yogi, they see the world without a breath of criticism, because they have realized that behind all the pain, disappointments, and challenges, there is only God's love and peace. And bliss. Most, they have understood that even the most evil people are a part of divine play, and that they too will eventually turn toward God. It may take many, many lifetimes, but it will happen. And with that, we are kind of invoking Swami Jyotish to be with us in spirits, as Mitesh was also sharing about him. And I'm going to share that in last year at the Spiritual Renewal Week, he announced that how about this inspiration that we all come together as a future saints club, and it is already being launched in a way where he has come out with a very simple form, like what is that emotion we need to work upon, and which of that right attitude as an antidote I'm going to practice more to overcome this particular emotion, so we can be saints. We are in a process of becoming saints, just like what we read right now by Swami Kriyananda. So we are going to share about Future Saints Club on the group, tune into it, and together we all as a Sangha can work on that. Imagine this is going to be Saints Club very soon. So, with that, let us all come together for the Arati and then we'll have blessings. So, at that time, you can either go to Brother Mitesh or you can come to Mirabai and seek Master's blessings. Okay. Thank you. Jai Guru.
Should I put it down?